Greetings, followers, and potters. Dustin here from Dustin's Dynasty with another edition of this week's vlog. Here every week where I share my thoughts as an autistic person who is in his late 30s and has pretty much lived the life of autism. Doing well this week. Things have been going pretty good for the most part. Had a few hiccups along the way, but we are here and it's Saturday. A little later than what I'd like to be, but we're here and we got the vlog started. So let's dive in. So this week, I want to talk about for what it is. And, as autistic people, we think that life, we have a hard time accepting sometimes that things are what they are. And for what we can do as autistic people, what our limits are, or what our accommodations are. And that's not in a way to put down hope or bring down hope or of things not going ways that we want them to go, or that we don't think they should go, or that there's not hope or potential when it comes to doing things or trying new things. Because in fact, there is part of me that is capable of things and can do things, but sometimes there's limits to things. And that's where it comes in. It's the hardest, is when there's limits to what, there's reality and there's limits and things just can't be. And that's, I think, sometimes the hard thing. You think of other people, but that have like normal lives, and I hate to say normal like it's a word, but people think they have lives. Not everybody has the same kind of life or happiness, but life is very different for an autistic person. Not always, but there's a good many of autistic people who experience challenges in a very different way, and it can be very challenging, and it's hard to live with being autistic and being hard about, what does that look like? And, and understanding that there's things you're just not going to be able to do and not going to be able to, that you're going to be limited by. And there's also, we can put all the hopes and the dreams and the wants and the needs into doing things that we think we can do. And a lot of things I can do is just there's limitations, or there's ways I can't do them. Let's take driving, for example. I can drive a car. I have a license to drive a car. I get a little anxious and there's some perception issues, but I very well could have a car. There's just financial obligations that come with having a car that make it difficult to have a car. When we look at what a car requires to run, gas, tires, oil, insurance, all of those things, it's very cost prohibitive. So therefore, I'm stuck to using public transportation, which I'm grateful for, and it's door-to-door service. And yes, I have to pay for it in some instances, and I'm okay with that. It's something that I've lived with that has been a hard uphill battle for me to climb and overcome, that understand that I'm not going to be able, it's just not in the cards to drive a vehicle, because there's just so many variables and there's so much financial obligation, let alone the responsibility that it comes to doing that. Even though I am able, it's just not in the cards for me. So I have to, live with being for what it is. I have to learn to withstand what I have to do to get around. And I'm grateful I have family and I have others, but in learning how to manage the shared ride situation has been a challenge for me the last 9 months. Not so much the wanting and doing, it's just learning that that's what it's going to be. And that the old ways of doing things aren't going to be, they're just not possible anymore. They're not going to happen. Really, they weren't feasible, and really they were very unhealthy for me. And I think I suffered more emotionally when when things were more volatile than when they are now, and that there's more, while there's not the predictability or the I wouldn't say so much the predictability as much as I would say the on timeness that I like. I mean, it is on time, but I think there's a part of it that, there's uncertainty and when it's going to show up and stuff, and that having that variable window instead of having a set time is a challenge. But I know I have to do it. I know it's a part of what I have to do. And even though, independence, there's something like driving is possible, it's just very cost prohibitive. And, for somebody who has to live on their own and there's other obligations that have to be met, it makes it more challenging. And, it's you have to put the balance in one of the other. What does it look like, And there's other things we could talk beside, that specific piece, but that's one that sticks out. There's part of things I can't do with my hands, and I have hand motor skill challenges, and I have other situations where, you know, I'm more challenged at doing things than, the average person. I mean, I can't do algebra very well, even though I was educated in it 20 some years ago. I couldn't tell you how to do it today, to be quite frank with you. I couldn't, there's just things that are harder for me to do. And there's things that are just aren't in the cards for me. And there's part of me that also is hopeful that there will be a future and that the future will be optimistic and it will have, future opportunities. I think we all want opportunities in our lives, whether you're autistic or you're not neurotypical. I think you all want, we all want some sort of opportunities. I think it's hard when you're alone a lot. And, there was, some talk today with my mother and I about, how I don't have that feeling of connection, of love to someone else. So, you know, I don't, and that's just how I'm built, and that's who I am. So I don't know what that feeling is like when there's two people who love each other. Like that's just not my thing, but it's other people experience that, but I don't know. I don't understand. It's something that I don't understand, nor do I want, because I don't know. I don't know if I can feel that. I don't know if I can handle that mentally or emotionally. Um, so I accept things for what they are, but in the same token, I don't understand. It's hard for me to understand what other people are experiencing when they want this feeling such as love, and what real love is, and how you have feelings for other people, and what does that look like, and how does that keep how what you the things that you do to keep the things you will do to do for those that you love the most. And I think sometimes that's hard for me to digest. It's hard for me to understand because it's like I don't have that value to that person as much if I didn't have that connection like somebody would to a significant other. But I don't have them feelings, so I don't understand how that goes and how that works. Um, Love is just something I don't feel, to be quite frank with you. So I'm not really equipped for that. And so I learned to love myself, but for what it is. But I know I need to be more understanding of what others go through and what others need and respect it. I think it's important to respect others, even though, you know, you as the person who is challenged by the way that you think or the way that you are, doesn't see things the same way as you do. it's important to be respectful of that and respect them for what they're feeling and validate their feelings, even though it can be hard to validate their feelings and understand their reasoning behind some things. I think sometimes I don't see things the same way that others do, because I'm not thinking clearly, or I don't understand that, you know, that people have feelings about things, or, you know, that they're supposed to be feelings. Um, it is what it is. And I think sometimes what we have to realize too is we're dealt we deal with the hand that we're dealt. And sometimes that's not easy. There is no easy autism, as they say, either, but sometimes you're handed things, and I've been handed a lot lately, and it's not always easy to deal with. I think sometimes you just want to push it to the side and get angry about it, or just not pay attention about it, and not feel that it's a part, it's what it is, and you have to face it. But you deal with it, and that other people deal with it in a way that you may not see, because you don't see the same value of it that others do. But you're living in your life, or my life, for example. I'm living my life, but I need to see that it's not only about my life, it's about everybody else's life. That, even though, you know, I may respect that person or depend on that person, I have to be open to the things that are different, and, understanding that things are what they are, and I can't change them. Sometimes change is hard, and when I've talked a lot about change, and how, sometimes I'm learning this year that change can be a good thing, but we have to be open and receptive to it too. And even though, it can be hard to say goodbye to some things, um, new chapters are always great too. And they open the door to better things. And even though I can't see that right on my mind, or think right on my mind, that something, even though it's a change and it's difficult, but sometimes you have to realize that things are what they are, and you have to accept them for what they are. It's not that you can't give hope or have faith in things. And in fact, I have faith in many things, but sometimes there's a reality that has to be faced too, that things can't always be the same. They're going to change. And sometimes you just have to know your limitations. There's a reality of things, and I have to accept those things for what they are. Even though they may be frustrating, they may cause things to me, and be what they are for me. Even though I wouldn't say I wouldn't like them. I like other things that I do without said things, but there's a reality, there's a reason why something is the way it is. And you sometimes have to follow through with it, because it helps you, or it people realize that you need it, or it's just it's part of you. And even though you don't want to admit it, or you don't want to think that it's a part of you, or that you can be that part of a person, it's it's really what it is. And you know learning how to manage yourself with that, in a way that you can you you're more you're open and receptive to understanding that, um that you're open and receptive to understanding that that's how life is, and it's never going to, and that, for at least for the foreseeable future, it's going to be that way. And it's not always going to be that way, but it may be something that's life sustaining, life depending, and it's just what it is. It's, and you're dealt with the hand that you're dealt with sometimes. And I think I've had to deal with a lot of things in my life that I don't think are fair, or I don't think, that I don't think I deserve to have happen in my life, but some things are a necessity. Some things are just what they are, and I have to learn personally to accept them for what they are, because I can't change other people. I can't be the one to make changes about everything. I can't be the one to say what goes and how it goes, and may be the one behind the change. Now I can advocate for the change, but doesn't necessarily guarantee that I'm going to get it. But what is important is that I work my way through it, and that I be more understanding that we don't that things are sometimes do change, or they are what they are for a reason, and that I can't get frustrated. I can't keep harping on that it's a bad thing, or taking out my anger or my frustration out on others because I'm feeling a certain way about it. I've there's things in life I would love to keep, and there's things I would have loved to not had change, but sometimes they are for the good, and sometimes they're just what you're dealt. And I think sometimes I have to realize that. I'm hoping going forward, I'm better at understanding that. I'm better at, knowing that things are just what they are. Even though autism isn't easy, I have to learn to live with my life as it is and understand, even though I love myself for who I am, there's things that about my life that aren't always what I agree with or what I want, but they're part of what I have to accept. And it may not be easy, but it's just a part of what the makeup of the world is. So I want to thank you for listening today. Be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Be sure to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, X, and Pinterest at Dustin's Dynasty. I'm on the web. That address is www.dustinsdynastyusa.com. And I have a link tree with all my links that handle as Dustin's Dynasty. Again, I'm going to thank you for listening. Take care of yourselves. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.